Hello everyone, my name is Owen on the Thomas Bros channel, and today we're going to be talking about the leaked concept art for Avengers Doomsday. So yesterday, very late on yesterday in the UK, some concept art for Avengers Doomsday got leaked, which really annoyed me because Avengers Doomsday is my most anticipated movie for the next few years, alongside something like Sonic 4. And so to actually have the concept art for the movie get leaked and it's not like little things either. This is like, well, a lot of it is really big things, and then a few other bits are just like a few character designs. Now, obviously they leaked also the concept art for the Fantastic Four, but I will not be going over that in this video because I've tried my best to avoid that, because obviously the movie is coming out this year. So more than anything, I want to avoid as many spoilers as I can for that. But with Avengers Doomsday, like, it even seems like they might delay it to next year because of these leaks. Now, they were from an official Marvel artist who has since taken them down. I don't know what the heck happened. He must have thought he was putting something up on private, but he wasn't. Either way, I'm pretty sure someone's getting fired at Marvel. And so yeah, this is official Avengers Doomsday concept art, and a lot of the stuff in this video might actually be in the movie, or at least a few ideas were in some way will maybe make the final cut. So if you don't want to get spoiled on absolutely anything in Avengers Doomsday or even Secret Wars, because I'm going to be honest, most of this concept art should just be from Avengers Secret Wars. I don't really think any of it really can be attributed to Doomsday in pretty much any way. But still, if you don't want to have any spoilers at all, then click off now. 3, 2, 1, flamingos. Okay, so starting off, we've got the design for Doctor Doom. And oh my god, this design is literally perfect in every way possible. So they've given him the fur on his cape, which I think is a cool detail. It kind of modernizes the character, because he does have fur on his cape or cloak or whatever in some iterations of his character. The armor is super detailed, and it's really like a knight's armor, which I was really hoping they kind of go for that sort of detail. So I'm really happy they've done that. Then obviously, as usual, Marvel have given him a bunch of lines on the actual fabric of his costume. So they've kind of added some designs on the chest part of his tunic to have a bit of ab sort of thing on there, and then a bunch of lines pointing down to kind of make sort of a V shape for Victor, which I kind of like that detail, honestly. But it's fine. I've never had a problem with them overdoing the detail on some of their suits, though overdoing the detail on Reed Richards' suit in Multiverse of Madness, I think, was a bit of a stretch. Anyway, but the mask. Oh my god, that mask is, again, absolutely perfect. So, obviously they actually added in, glowing green eyes, which I think is a nice detail to kind of make him seem a bit more ominous. Again, lots of lines on there. It kind of feels like they're taking inspiration, not from the mask that we saw RDJ wear at Comic-Con, but more so the kind of mask with the springs on the side to have his jaw sort of move with the mask. It seems like that's the sort of mask design they were playing around with this concept art. And that being so, it's really cool. And then you've got the chains and stuff. That's all amazing. So this is definitely just the perfect Doctor Doom design, in my opinion. So, and I really hope that they do stick with this design, because as is, this concept art isn't really showing anything. It's just showing what he will actually look like. And that's not really giving anything away as far as the story is. So I don't see why they would need to change this in any way because of the leaks. Because, it's just perfect and it doesn't spoil anything. Okay, so now we've got some concept art for the Young Avengers. And, this is interesting. So, it's concept art for the Young Avengers, forming around this table in some sort of, Chinese bar or something, or Japanese bar. I only say so because it's, lantern things hanging from the ceiling. And then there's also, loads of candles and stuff, which kind of gives me that Chinese-Japanese vibe. But, anyway, you've got Wong, who's actually wearing what looks like the Cloak of Levitation, which, that's interesting. Then you've got Star-Lord, and then getting into the actual Young Avengers, you've got Kate Bishop, Cassie Lang, I'm pretty sure is her name, Wiccan, and then you've got Tommy, and I can't tell who's actually playing Tommy, but honestly, I don't really know many actors that haven't already been in the MCU, so if you guys know who he might be, then let me know, maybe. But then you've got Kamala Khan, and, she actually only has one bangle on her right now. I'm pretty sure, didn't Captain Marvel take the bangles at the end of the Marvels? I can't remember, but either way, she's got at least one of the bangles with her. And then you've got this creature on, off to the side. Dupe, I think's his name. Apparently he was a part of the X-Force? What the hell is that? It looks like a bugger. It looks like a piece of snot with, the X-Men logo on it. I don't think we're going to be seeing that in the final version of the movie. But having the Young Avengers kind of assemble here, I do think is really cool. It seems like what they'll be having happen is that the Young Avengers will assemble in Avengers Doomsday, and then Secret Wars to fight alongside the Avengers, whatever team that may be made up of. And then after the Multiverse Saga, in the Mutant Saga, they will actually get things like their own show or movie and stuff. But Star-Lord and Wong being there is quite interesting, and having, whiskey or something. It maybe tells that they might help with forming the team, or they might train the team, because they did fight alongside the Avengers, or have at least been in a team. Star-Lord led the Guardians, Wong was a part of Kamar-Taj, and so kind of as leading all the sorcerers of the world. So these two have had a leading role in some way, and so they could help someone like Kamala Khan actually help lead the team and teach her how to be a leader and stuff. So yeah, that concept art's pretty cool. Okay, so now we've got concept art for Black Panther, specifically T'Challa's Black Panther, not Shuri's. And obviously there's actually multiple pieces of concept art for this, where he's wearing different helmets, but I want to go over this one specifically, where he's not wearing a helmet. Now, I can't remember the actor that they said is actually in this piece and is actually in the Black Panther suit, but apparently they were rumoured for a while to be playing Black Panther. They do look like the person who would play T'Challa, or I guess kind of T'Challa's son, who's also called T'Challa, because at the end of Black Panther Wakanda Forever, we obviously found out that T'Challa, before he died, had a son, and that son was also called T'Challa, which was setting it up for T'Challa to kind of become Black Panther, in place of Shuri. So Shuri's always basically just been a temporary Black Panther, which I'm quite sad about that, because I did like Shuri as Black Panther, but I always have preferred T'Challa as Black Panther, and then just having that relationship where T'Challa can bounce off Shuri with that banter and stuff. It's part of the reason why I really liked Black Panther 1, was because of that banter. And if you have two Black Panthers protecting Wakanda, I don't think you'll really get that sort of banter, because they'll both be taking their job super seriously, as opposed to one taking it seriously and the other just having a fun time. But anyway, I love this design for T'Challa. It's very comic accurate with having like the gold accents to the suit and like the gold chain, and then even adding a cape into it, which I thought was a really nice touch. And having like the gold on the cape. But I will say how they're going to age him up is gonna be like odd, because I think in Black Panther Wakanda Forever was supposed to, in the MCU, only be about 3 or 4 years ago. And T'Challa then was only about, 10? So he'd be a teenager, and this concept art definitely does not show him as a teenager. So most likely is that this is actually on Battleworld, and because Battleworld is multiple bits of Earths from multiple different parts of time throughout the multiverse, that'll probably be it. This is sort of like maybe a future like T'Challa where he's all grown up. I don't know, but it's cool. Okay, so this is where it starts to get to the point that I had before about how most of this concept art doesn't really feel like it's a part of Avengers Doomsday. Like, obviously, I showed you guys just now the concept art with T'Challa, like an aged up T'Challa, which obviously would have to take place on Battleworld for the whole age up thing to make sense. But now this concept art, it shows God Emperor Doom. A lot of people have thought that this is like going to be a time travel element in the movie, but that is highly unlikely in my opinion. Doom's just always had his places be in this sort of medieval kind of look. But this, I think, is 100% a Secret Wars concept art. If maybe the previous one with T'Challa's like a little bit, then this is definite. You've got Sue Storm and what looks like about like a 5-year-old Franklin Richards as like his wife and son, because obviously in Secret Wars, the 2015 Secret Wars, which is probably what they'll be taking inspiration from, Doom made it so that Sue was his wife and Franklin was his kid, and he basically just took Reed's entire family out of some kind of jealousy and spite because he's just that petty. But Doctor Strange is actually there, and he's wearing like a sort of green cloak, which is obviously Doom's whole thing is green, and he's got like his hair at the back in like a bit of a bun. And then in front of Doctor Doom, you've actually got Reed Richards, who's in some kind of like gladiator armor, chained up in front of Doctor Doom. And I'm going to be honest, when I looked at it really closely for a second, I did think it was Black Widow, but upon like further look, yes, it is Yelena, like what everyone's been saying. And he's in front of Doom because in the 2015 Secret Wars, at the beginning of it, Mr. Sinister is arrested by the Thor police, and actually, they could make that a thing maybe in a Secret Wars, I don't know. None of this artwork really shows anything about the Thor Corps and about the, about things like the Thor police and stuff. But, anyway, at the beginning of Secret Wars, Mr. Sinister is arrested and he's put on trial in Doctor Doom's throne room. Loads of people are watching, strangers like the judge, and Doom is watching the trial play out on his throne with Sue and Franklin and Valeria. So that seems like what that seems like what is happening here. Just instead of Mr. Sinister, it's Reed Richards. So that's gonna be really interesting to see if that does play out. So yeah, this concept art is really cool, and I wanted to point out that Doctor Doom is actually sitting in this artwork on a regular throne. And lots of people, including myself, have thought that Doom would get his godlike power from killing Loki, because in the comics, Doom's throne is the Yggdrasil tree, which is what Loki is protecting right now, to what he's holding together. So by Doom not sitting on that throne, at least to me, it kind of implies that Doom doesn't kill Loki. And then maybe, instead of having, because in Secret Wars you had T'Challa with the Infinity Gauntlet fighting God Emperor Doom throughout like the entire multiverse and stuff. So what if, instead of having that happen, instead of having, like, T'Challa fighting Doom, you instead had Loki, God of Stories, fighting God Emperor Doom? Because I think that would be really interesting. You've already got the connection with Doom looking like Tony Stark and Loki's whole history with Tony Stark, but T'Challa doesn't really have that much of a history with Doctor Doom or Tony Stark, who looks like Doctor Doom, or anything to do with Doom, really. Loki at least has the connection to Tony Stark to sort of have that going on, and the fact that they're both godlike entities who think that they know what's best for the multiverse. So I just thought that was something really interesting to point out. Okay, so now we've actually got like a city, like a medieval city filled with Hulks, actually. You can see in the background loads of different Hulk sort of variants. You've got like a kid Hulk, a Hulk with long hair and stuff. So you've got them, they're like in this medieval sort of city. And you've got in the front and centre, you've got Bruce Banner's Hulk next to She-Hulk. And then you've actually got them looking at what appears to be Scar. Now, if you guys don't remember Scar, I would not blame you, because She-Hulk wasn't really that good of a show. But Scar was introduced at the end as being Hulk's son. They haven't really gone anywhere with that since. So it seems like this concept art shows a thing of that being like picked up on for the movie. And obviously, again, if you've seen if you've read Avengers Secret Wars, or just Secret Wars, why I'm calling it Avengers, I don't know. You'll know that Maestro, who's like an evil Hulk variant from the future, actually had an army of Hulks that was working for God Emperor Doom. So I guess this is kind of where they come from. And in the background, you can actually see like a wall behind them. And again, in 2015 Secret Wars, Ben Grimm, the wall that was surrounded Doom's whole city and protected it from things like the Annihilation Wave and stuff, that was actually a giant Ben Grimm that was just kind of like cradled up in some kind of like fetal position or whatever, or some kind of position to go around the whole city, which is one of the many things that I liked on how they turned pre-existing things into quintessential parts of Doom's plan. Same with like Galactus in 2015 Secret Wars being like Doom's sort of bodyguard, which I thought was really badass. But no, so this is really interesting. Obviously, you can also see that Scar has been shot through with like an arrow. He's been shot with an arrow. So that's interesting. And yeah, it does seem like this is on Battleworld, because I don't see any other way that they could have this many Hulks just kind of existing in some medieval city. This is definitely Secret Wars kind of stuff. And now, what I believe is the last piece of artwork for Avengers Doomsday or Secret Wars or whatever, I'd again say that most of this is Secret Wars, but you've got Star-Lord and White Vision, like, hanging out, and yeah, I just don't see how this could happen. I'm pretty sure this is probably not going to be in the movie. Out of everything I've talked about, this is probably the least likely thing to happen, because, like, it's what's the context of the situation? You've got White Vision in, like, just, like, a normal attire, alongside Star-Lord. They're just on the sofa, hanging out with, like, you've got a whiskey and beer and just loads of alcohol, and a pizza. They're just hanging out on, like, the sofa in probably Peter Quill's granddad's house, and it's just like, what? Like, I'm sorry, but I just can't see in any world this happening. I mean, it's a fun idea, don't get me wrong, but just like, what? The mind kind of boggles at that, like, I can definitely see it being a fun interaction if it did happen. You've got, like, White Vision is, like, the kind of, like, the straight man sort of thing, as in being, like, the person who doesn't kind of like the Drax, really, doesn't understand things like sarcasm and just stuff. And you've got Star-Lord there being, like, sarcastic and funny and all that, and everything's going over Vision's head. But I don't know. What? I honestly don't know what to say, because, like, everything that I've talked about so far, I've had something to say, because it's usually something that's been out of the comics, or something that I've seen people, like, talk about and theorise about. Not this. So I don't know what to say. Again, it seems like it'd be a fun interaction, but I don't think it will happen, because it's just one of the weirdest things that they could do, especially since with everything that's going on in the MCU right now and how broken the multiverse saga kind of is, and all the legwork the Russo brothers have to do for establishing Doctor Doom and connecting everything and all that. How does this fit into it? Like, I don't know, maybe this is sort of like, perhaps maybe it's sort of like a concept art thing for Vision Quest, in which case then all this concept art is basically just a bit of Doomsday, a lot of Secret Wars, and then Vision Quest as well. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. It's interesting, but I don't think it's gonna happen. So yeah, with that being said, that was all of the concept art for Avengers Doomsday. Again, I think that most of it is concept art for Secret Wars, with all the Hulks, God Emperor Doom, Black Panther, like T'Challa being aged up. All of that really just seems like stuff that'd be in Secret Wars. The only things that don't seem like they'd be in Secret Wars and will actually be in Doomsday would be the Young Avengers and, again, even though I don't think it'll happen, White Vision and Star-Lord, because I just don't see how that could fit into Secret Wars, but I also don't see how that could fit into literally anything. And then obviously the design for Doctor Doom, but that isn't really something about the story, that's just his design, which again is perfect. So yeah, I really like this. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they will do, though I would have preferred not that this had not got out, because, like, we now know that this stuff is either going to happen or that it was in consideration. But things like Doctor Strange being Doom's right-hand man and Battleworld and the Hulks will definitely happen, because those were big parts of the 2015 Secret Wars. And even though I kind of knew that those things would probably happen, since things like God Emperor Doom and Doctor Strange being his right-hand man and Battleworld and all that, it was all just kind of a given, but I still would have liked to have not seen it. But, oh well, it's just kind of like a shame, really. I don't know what's going to happen now, if they'll have to, like, rewrite some of the stuff, or if they'll keep it as is, because right now, we don't actually know how much of this concept art has actually made it into the final cut, because that's kind of what you've got to keep in mind. This is concept art. It's not actually, like, stuff that might actually be in the final product. This is just concept. So, a lot of this, who knows, maybe all of this doesn't actually make it into the final product. I'd say probably a good amount of it does. Like, I'd say probably, like, most of it does, but I feel like some of it is a bit outlandish. Things like Star-Lord and Vision, and then even the Young Avengers with that, like, dupe thing or whatever it is. Like, I feel like the Young Avengers will be in Doomsday or Secret Wars or whatever, but I think they'll take out some of the things that were shown in that concept art, like dupe. But there we go. That's my thoughts. Guys, if you have any opinions on that, please, on this concept art, please let me know. And with that being said, I have been Owain on the Thomas Bros channel, and I will see you guys in the next video. Ta-da!